Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well, and today we are going to be discussing my worst books of the year. So this isn't really a big list. I'm surprised I don't have more books on this list, because my reading this year has just been kind of meh, and I've discovered a lot of people have that too. So this is going to be a relatively short list, only because my camera battery is dying at the moment. So we're going to try and get through these as quickly as possible, because I definitely won't want to be talking about these books after this video. So let's just dive straight in. So the first one I want to talk about is probably my first disappointing book of the year, and that was Bunny. So I really don't get the hype around this book. It's a booktube darling, I know that. I just was not one of those people. I just didn't get the hype. So apparently this is supposed to be a parody of The Secret History, or a take on it, I think. I've never read The Secret History, so I can't really tell you if it really is or not. I think I remember getting to the end of this book and just going, eh? I was very confused. From what I remember, it was just trying to do too many things at once, and I think that's what ultimately made me not like this book. So I think I gave this 2.5 stars. It just wasn't a fun time. It wasn't. It's unfortunately a book that will be getting unhauled, so sorry to anyone who likes that one. Okay, so the second one is a book I read for the Plus Size Readathon hosted by Sash, and that was A Highliner for Hannah. I can't remember the author's name. I do have it in my reading journal somewhere. I DNF'd this at 50% because it was just boring. I liked the idea of it. So basically it was reverse roles. Yeah, so the Scottish guy came through to our world, so it was basically a reverse Outlander. I didn't really like the main character. She was pretty boring. I didn't find her particularly likeable. I remember getting to the halfway point and going, not a lot is happening here. I don't really care about the characters. Even the love interest I didn't give a shit about. Like, this was it just felt like a cheap Outlander ripoff to me. So, unfortunately, I DNF this at 50%, but yeah, it's not a book I'd pick up again, and yeah, I'd just rather go back and read Outlander. The next book I want to talk about is one that was suggested by Bren for my 12 books by 12 friends to read in 2023, and I'm sorry to say this, friend, I know this is one of your favourite books ever, so you probably want to click away now and then come back after after I've gone on about this, but that was Bong. Accurate title, Wolf Song by TJ Klune. I think I DNF'd this at 35%. It's okay, so the premise of this one is we follow two young boys named Ox and Joe. So they meet when I think Joe's 10 and then Ox is like 16, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the ages that they meet. So from what I gather from this was like a found family thing, which I love, don't get me wrong, but these two characters were supposed to have been like soulmates, and they supposedly fall in love from like pretty much the second day after they meet. I found the fact that this happens when the youngest character is 10 and the oldest one is 16, that made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I remember going on Goodreads to look at other reviews, and it wasn't just me, there were other people who picked up on this too. The way that was written, it was supposed to be like an insta-love story, and like, come on, this kid is 10. You've got a kid who's 10 and then the other one is 16. Like, that just... So, this part of this review, I think, sums up my thoughts on the age gap in this book perfectly well. So, when Ox meets Joe, he is 16 and Joe is 10, as I said. Nothing romantic happens until Ox is 23 and Joe turns 17. I just find this so bizarre. I think it might have been different if Joe and Ox met when they were 17 and 23. But imagine being 16 and dating a 10-year-old in 6 years' time. Joe gives Ox his stone wolf, which werewolves are supposed to give their mates, and Joe gives this to Ox the next day after he meets him. I mean, he just decides this at 10 years old. Joe also starts getting angry and possessive when Ox begins to go on dates. It's still a little weird that Joe kisses Ox when he is 17, which is obviously underage. And again, it's more the fact that these two characters met when the youngest was 10. And there were some parts I remember the way, I think it was, I can't remember which. Okay, Ox. I think the point where I gave up, there was a part where Ox was talking about these feelings he had for Joe that he felt were wrong, but I can't remember. But the way it was written was really, like, he was cringing, the character, and like, mate, how do you think I feel? But to me, it just came off. It just didn't sit right with me, that relationship between those two characters. And I think I said in my review, it kind of felt like Twilight way too much in regards to that other plotline. And I'm glad I'm not the only one that felt that. I'm thinking, am I the only one that think this is just odd? But after having going back to these reviews on Goodreads, I'm happy I'm not the only one that thought this. Another thing that I forgot that these reviews mentioned is the repetition. I think the word pack itself is repeated nearly 400 times in one book, and it's, I think somebody said it, you know, like, words like that are repeated 3 times in a row. So where was the other one that I found that felt, I can't find it, but yeah, basically they made the point of, you know, well, why is the same word repeated 3 times and more than, you know, why is every word repeated thrice? Then another one was, in regards to the repetition, it was like every single sentence was like, he said this, he said that, he said that. Like, okay, you don't need to keep saying he said. I think I'm just going off too much of a tangent here. The fact I've DNF'd 2 of TJ Clunes' books, I think, says enough to me that, yeah, we're not going to continue. So I am really sorry, Ren. I really wanted to like this book, but yeah, unfortunately, it's a no from me. Alright, so the next one I want to talk about is A Worthy Opponent by Katie Robert. Can someone explain to me what the hype behind Katie Robert books are? Because I'm still waiting to get it. I think this is maybe I think this was the very last book of Katie Roberts I will ever read, because to me, they're all the same. They're all the same plot lines. Well, no, they're different characters, but they all just feel like they do the same thing, if that makes sense. So basically, the main chick meets the main guy, or there's maybe 3 of them in this relationship, and they just have sex, pretty much. It's, from the books of Katie's I have read, they all feel the same. They don't really go anywhere. I think I liked Emily McIntyre's take on the sort of bad boy villain thing a lot better than this did. So I rated this 2.5 stars. I really hated it. It had no plot. It basically went nowhere, essentially. Like, there was some kind of supposed plot in this, but I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I was glad to get rid of it. I was happy to send it back to the library after I read it. It was that bad. I probably should have rated that 1 star, but I was feeling generous at the time. So, unfortunately, Katie Robert is an author I think I will not be reading any more of their books, just because we just don't gel. It was just, no. Okay, and sticking on Katie Robert, the next book I want to add to this list is Court of the Vampire Queen. So this is actually a combination of 3 books. I think they were supposed to be novellas of that. I read this back in, I think it was February for Paige's birthday, Spencer, I think it was. Yeah. Again, like I said with the previous book, this it had some story, but to me it felt like it went absolutely freaking nowhere. They were basically having sex every single day. I'm like, oh, come on. I know you want to bang, but Jesus Christ, can we please make this story move along? I think these were the lowest rated books on my core pile list. I think the lowest I gave one was like, it didn't even reach half a star. It was that bad. Yeah, like with The Worthy Opponent, I was glad to send this back to the library. I did not care for it. I am quite happy I didn't get the Fabled edition because that was beautiful. Yeah, I would have unhauled that special edition because it was just boring, and I don't really have anything else to say other than I probably won't be picking up any more Katie Robert books because I struggled to get through them. Okay, and the last one I want to talk about was also on my recommended list for 12 books, and that was Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. Again, this is a book I just did not see what the hype was about. I DNF'd this about halfway through. I like the idea. So it's about these two kids who met when they were younger, and then they sort of bonded through their love of video games and that. And this sort of watches them as they grow up. But I just remember reading this and I'm thinking, oh, I'm 50% of the way into this and nothing's really happening. It's just, nothing's really happening. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this other than the fact that it was boring. I didn't really care about the characters. Yeah, so unfortunately this was another recommendation that didn't quite hit the mark for me. It was weird because this year I've had some of the recommendations from last year were pretty good, and this year I've DNF'd about maybe I've DNF'd like 2, and I think I only gave one 3.5 stars. So it's a really mixed bag this year, but yeah, so that's unfortunate. So they are my worst books of 2023. As I said, this wasn't a very long list. There weren't very many books that made me sort of go, this is definitely a candidate. Most of the books were just pretty average, but these were the books I felt sort of more encapsulated what I considered to be books that I'm like, no, I don't recommend that. I don't get it. So I will leave this video here. If you guys liked it, please do give it the big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to me, I would love it if you did. And I shall see you in the next video, which will be the best books of 2023. Until next time, bye.